Welcome back to today's episode. On the podcast, we're talking about the show Found. The first episode is just called Pilot, but what I realized while doing research for the show was that I had been saying hamster wrong my entire life. How do you spell hamster?
Hamster.
Damn it. I say it hampster. I've always written it in my head as Hampster.
Wait.
And I don't know why.
Wait, you thought that the animal...
How do you spell pigeon?
Pigeon?
That's also correct. There's no D in pigeon. For some reason, my mind and a good healthy proportion of Americans have been spelling hamster and pigeon wrong.
Is this like the Mandela effect? Or?
Yes, I believe I grew up in an identical universe and just got transported over here. No, it's just that hamster, when you say it, it sounds like it has a P in it.
No, it doesn't.
All right, okay. How do you pronounce jaguar?
Jaguar?
Yeah, you say wire with an I sound in the middle there.
But
it's just jaguar. Yeah. All right, so this is about a crisis management specialist, Gabi Mosley, and her team as they search for Camilla in this pilot episode, a missing 14-year-old in foster care. The last show that I remember doing about missing people, and also the one that everybody compares it to, is Alert Missing Persons Unit.
Yep.
And I remember just bashing that show. Like, I went after that one. That was a fun one to watch just to make fun of. This show is supposed to be a little bit more dramatic. However, it does have kind of a entertaining twist that they gave away in the trailer for anybody who watched that.
Yeah, because it takes till the end of the episode before they say what that twist is.
Indeed, even the show creator was like not entirely sure that's how they should advertise it, but at the same time wanted to draw in an audience. Go ahead and ruin the twist.
The main character is keeping someone in her basement, Negan style from like The Walking Dead, except there's no metal bars.
So the main character, whose job is to find missing people, has kidnapped someone.
Well,
but you know who it is.
Yes, it's in the 2003 storyline. We learned that Gabi, I think she's supposed to be maybe playing in her early 20s.
She's 16.
So, isn't Shanola Hampton like 46, and this is supposed to just be 20 years ago?
Well, that shows that you looked up her age, but she also played younger in Shameless, too, which everybody knows her from that as Veronica V. And Kevin, remember?
Yes,
now, if Kevin showed up in this, I wouldn't mind that. He's already been in that Arnold Schwarzenegger, what was the thing, True Lies, or like, what was the reboot?
Yes, it was True Lies.
It was True Lies,
that was the movie.
So now his co-star is now getting this show, and so her main character, Gabi Mosley, has decided that... How did she even find this dude? Do we learn anything?
Well, back in 2003, it turns out that not only did this person called Sir, because that's all we know him as of right now, kidnapped Gabi, but also kidnapped a girl called Bella.
Yes.
And then we don't really learn exactly what happened to them or how they got to this point. We just know that somehow Sir ended up underneath Gabi's
So you know that she obviously escaped. She started this business that she's in. Many years later, 2023, she's tracked him down, the person who kidnapped her, stuck him down there, and just feeds him?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, that's what she's preparing a meal at the very end of this thing. She opens this door, and then he has like one of those chains on his leg.
I saw an image. It reminded me of Breaking Bad in the first season when Walter White had kidnapped the Mexican drug cartel guy and had just kept him down there, and then eventually realized he had to kill him.
I'd rather be the Sir person in this, because that guy, the person you're talking about in Breaking Bad, his neck brace was basically tied to a wooden pole. Like, he could barely move. At least this guy can sit and walk around.
But with Walter White, he was planning on letting that guy go for a while until he realized that the guy had stolen a shard of the plate and was planning to kill him. But with it seems like Gabi Mosley has just recruited her ex-kidnapper to help her solve crimes.
It was very strange.
A la Blacklist or like Hannibal.
Well, the show did so much to try and show that Gabi was good at her job. She just needs her team, and then she's able to rescue these people. Mostly they end up just being kids by the very end of it.
Leverage, Scandal, Criminal Minds, all those are around a team basis. Even Surreal Estate was a team that then solves different problems that come up to them. But this is primarily her focus is on minorities who go missing, right? Not just anybody, but she'll take anyone. It's not like she's going to avoid cases, right?
I feel like she graduated from Riverdale, because she has a couple scenes in here. In fact, a lot of the characters in this show do, but her specifically, where she's not saying anything particularly really inspiring. screen, but the show is trying to make it seem that way.
Oh, so the music?
Yes, it's swelling music
helps?
in the background. In fact, in the first 10 minutes after they rescue this kid and this dick cop is kind of taking all the credit for it, she decides to completely take over the interview, and one of her team members, Lacey, starts an Instagram live stream, and suddenly, somehow within a minute, over 100,000 people are watching this thing, and Gabi is talking about how the senator's daughter was taken yesterday, and the media isn't doing their job because they keep on talking about the senator's daughter being kidnapped, but they're not talking about a different person who was African American, a different kid that went missing 2 weeks ago. And even though she is attacking the reporters right in front of her who are asking them questions, all the reporters are nodding their head like, she's actually right.
Yeah, there's no question that in our society that minorities going missing raises less of a red flag to like police. There's just studies that have shown overwhelmingly that this is a problem.
The message.
But the thing is that you would supplant or that you would take over something that was supposed to be looking for another missing kid. That's not really the best.
And that's not even the worst that it gets. Because what you're talking about...
You're trying to raise awareness by going and criticizing someone for looking for people who are anxious to find out where the senator's daughter is. I don't think you're attacking sort of people who are also doing the same thing just because they're getting the attention for it.
The message that Gabi was trying to send in those first 10 minutes, I didn't really have a problem with. Yeah. It was just the way that it was written and poorly executed. And even on top of that, 5 minutes later in the episode, this is supposed to be like the next day in TV time, Gabi is holding another press conference, but she purposefully uses the fame that the senator's daughter has been taken, but she's using it so that people are more paying attention to Camilla, who was just taken in the episode.
Is the senator's daughter found by her unit, though? Like, does she help with that investigation as well?
No, she straight up, it was so morally, I felt like apprehensible, because yes, he's trying to like raise awareness that Camilla has been taken, but she's using a different kidnapping about a senator's daughter to do so, to trick people almost into tuning in just so that she can talk about someone else entirely.
Okay, so it's not Camilla, it's Camilla.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
All right.
Camilla, yeah.
Okay, so Camilla, she is this 14-year-old missing girl from foster care. They get a lot of runaways. I understand why maybe that might go under the radar because they just assume there's just a lot of there's a lot of people who are making assumptions just based off that.
Gabi, Lacey, and Margaret, all people who are part of the team, actually go to talk to the foster care parents, and they are the ones that are saying exactly what you're saying. Apparently, this isn't the first time that she has taken off and decided to run away. This is pretty normal actions for her, but they think that there's something else going on.
Uh-huh.
It's always the fact that Gabi and her team...
Are they sensing that the foster parents are evil, or are they sensing that just this was a different
I think you were supposed
scenario?
to think that they were evil, but they only show up for one scene.
Okay, so they don't come back around later on as like the villains holding her underneath the cellar or something?
I felt like the show, it never... it always spoon-fed you everything. It never just allowed you to, or trust the audience could pick up on subtle clues. For example, Margaret has this rip-off Sherlock skill, where she's able to see things, and they do a ton of quick edited cuts so that you can see that she's picking up on details. She's seeing the way that the mom is like kind of touching her ring, seeing these pictures, and just gain an overall good sense of the investigation. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, Kelly Williams, the person who played her, she's the main lead woman in Lie to Me, where Lie to Me was all about that, reading people. And so it's funny that her character from that is almost the same one here.
And I liked her ability, but then, of course, the next scene you have to get Lacey, who it felt like her entire character was just always exposition dumping about every other character that there was here. Being like, so you were able to do your super focus ability where you're able to pick up details, and she's just explaining it to the audience, even though we had just seen it.
And Lacey is a new person on the group, right?
Yes, so you have the stereotypical kind of group here. You have Zeke, he's the tech person, Lacey, the new person, Gabi, the one that doesn't always play by the rules, but she's the leader of the gang.
I don't know how much they give away about this, but Zeke is also supposed to be struggling with agoraphobia. So
yes, they talk about that.
He's afraid of closed environments?
Yes, and because of that, he's able to find Camilla at the very end of the episode.
How does that work?
He's watching everything take place. Apparently, the daughter and Camilla, the senator's daughter, were both taken at the same time. They crossed paths because when the daughter is
so the cases
found,
are connected.
Yes, when the daughter is found, she's wearing the same jacket that Camilla is wearing when she was taken, or the picture that they have.
Is that why I would assume that she crashed the police, whatever podium speaking to reporters assembly that they had, was because she knew that their cases were linked in some way?
The crashing of the interview was at the very beginning of the episode after they already found another kid. That was just supposed to be its own separate thing.
Gotcha.
This was later on where they kind of talked to the senator's daughter. She's like 5 years old, and this daughter is talking about how the brother, because they had a picture of the brother, and the brother is apparently addicted to drugs. The drug dealer is actually the one that has taken both of them. The drug dealer took the daughter for ransom, and then also, I guess, took Camilla, and then they were able to find Camilla because of just different clues that they were able to put together.
She was locked right?
She was locked in a cell, yeah, because they were going to the drug dealer's house, not really sure where she was, and then because, like you said, Zeke is agoraphobic, he decided to give them, like, a clue. He's like, she might be underneath somewhere, and then that's where she was, and that's how they were able to find her.
Gabi leads everything, then you got Margaret, her number 2, so if anything happened to Gabi, then Margaret would sort of take over, you would think.
Yeah.
You have Lacey, who's the new kid, and then Zeke, the tech person. Who's Don Ron?
Don, it seems like he's going to be part of a love triangle, if I had to guess, because he just seems like he's kind of the this.
Is he part of the team now?
I feel he'd be secondary. Yes, he is part of the team because they even have Mark Trent, who's not part of the team. He's the detective. That's who I think is going to be in the love triangle with him.
Yeah, he's linked with Gabi because he's her connection whenever she needs to do something that's morally ambiguous but needs the police on her side.
But it's fair. It's weird that you say that Margaret would be number 2 because I really do think it would be Don. He's the one that kind of...
I'm just going by their listing on the actual show. Who's the more famous of the two?
He butts heads a lot with Zeke, and they even call him G.I. Joe. That's what Lacey, who when she's describing the characters a ton of times. Yeah, and also he's able to talk someone down from committing suicide. The dialogue is not great in this thing. In fact, I have a ton of examples if you want me to go through them. You have Mark Trent right after Don was able to speak to the mother, the actual mother of Camilla, who was about to commit suicide. And Mark Trent says to Don, "What did you tell her to make her stop?" And Don says, "The truth." Which I feel like is said in every other TV show. You also have Lacey speaking to Gabi.
A mic drop moment where he says the truth.
Yes, and these are also the lines that are supposed to end the scene. The best lines that are supposed to end the scenes you're getting here. So that shows you kind of how average this dialogue really is.
Also, because it's NBC, you would assume it would just cut to a commercial break. And then people would be like, oh.
And then Lacey to Gabi, she's speaking about how she's trying to give Gabi a pep talk because Gabi does not think that they're going to be able to find Camilla in time. And she's like, when you, every person at this office you found was at their worst, and you gave them a purpose. It just felt like everything that's said in every single inspirational monologue ever. And then even Gabi...
BetterHelp? No.
And then Gabi is speaking to the dick police chief who was trying to take credit for kind of finding the kid at the beginning of the episode later on. And she kind of threatens the police chief and he says, "Did you just threaten me?" And Gabi says, "That's not a threat, officer. It's a promise." Demetri Martin several years ago had a bit about that exact exchange because of how overused that is in TV shows. Mm-hmm. And again, that was like in 2016. And I don't know why they decided to bring it back for some reason. I felt bad for Shanola Hampton. She is by far the best thing in this show. She probably has the most acting experience by far. And Don, he was also kind of good in some of his scenes, but she's trying to make this show way better than it actually is.
I think Mark Trent, the guy who plays him, Brett Dalton, he was also he's got a pretty strong acting career himself. He was in Hamster and Gretel. That's how I found out about the Hamster fact.
Gretel.
But he was also Grant Ward in Hive and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So he's had a long-running career, I guess.
I don't want to be a bully, but a lot of the acting, aside from Don and Gabi, I thought all the actors were not that great, including the child actors. But the child actors aren't given anything to really even work with anyways. I think this absolutely falls on the writing. What was this show based on, if anything?
I think it was just trying to bring awareness to the fact that there's a lot of missing people that go missing every year, around 600,000. However, the interesting fact on that is I looked at the statistics over time, and from 1990s to now, it's actually been dropping at quite a big rate. It almost used to be...
Kidnappings are dropping.
Not kidnappings, missing people that were reported. over 1 million people back in 1997, and now it's down to around 500 to 600,000 a year. And yes, there are a lot that are unreported, especially in minority communities that this is trying to bring awareness to. But a good 98% of people who are said to be missing are found in one way or the other. I'm not saying that's good, but I'm saying we are doing better with the problem, kind of like with crime rates too. And I did also figure out which states in the U.S. have the most missing people per 100,000.
Yeah.
And do you want to take any guesses?
Which state? Oh,
yeah.
Maybe
I
like
have the
Florida?
top 10.
I would
guess
guess Florida. Is Florida in there?
Florida is not in there.
Oh, okay.
It goes Alaska is the number one by a wide margin, which makes sense because you're in this giant ice cube and like it's easy to get lost there.
But there's not that many people in Alaska.
But I'm saying that per person, the percentage-wise, that more people go missing there.
Sense, yeah.
Then it's Arizona, which
Arizona's number 2.
Arizona's number 2. I do wonder if it has anything to do with immigration. And then Oregon. And then Vermont, Washington, Maine, Wyoming, Hawaii, West Virginia, and New Mexico.
Aside from Arizona and some other ones that you named, it just seems like cold places, like Vermont.
Places you could get stuffed in the ice and then found 100 years later.
Places that, like, their electoral colleges are like 3 or 4 votes every election.
I wanted to do a game where it was like about the coolest or craziest missing people, but it got me so depressed. I went to several different websites, and they were all just so sad stories. It makes me realize why I could never do a true crime podcast, like because it just they're horrible people out there, and there are horrible deaths that can happen. And this is the reason why people gravitate to this type of show in Law and Order is because those people find justice. Like they usually are caught, and in a lot of the times it's a happy ending.
Yes, but that's kind of the point. If you're saying that all these terrible things are happening and there's usually not a happy ending, why would NBC?
I'm not saying usually there's not a happy ending. Again, 98% of it, like there's 92 to 98% of people who are said to be missing are found eventually. It's still a few thousand that aren't.
I just think that with the rawness that this show has, like the potential that it has, kind of pointing out NBC does hinder it a little bit because they're not able to go as dark with it. In fact, they're trying to make Gabi throughout the whole entire episode seem like this amazing person. That scene where Lacey is talking to her and giving her the pep talk, they throw in the most random things, like apparently Gabi paid for Lacey's law school, and then it came out of nowhere. It just seemed like they were trying to make Gabi almost too good of a person.
We've reviewed other shows with like team aspects, the team dynamics, and then also a strong female lead leading them, like Blind Spot. So compared this to Blind Spot, how would you feel about those two characters?
That Blind Spot episode was so long ago.
Okay, and then Lioness, we did that more recently. However, that's more of an action-oriented.
Yes. I actually would maybe say that this is most like Scorpion and Alert Missing Persons Unit, like you were talking about, because the plot and craziness, this does hit the sweet spot of being so bad that it's actually good.
That's what one of the reviews said, because you've got a whole mix of different reviews. The one that I found the most entertaining, or most like that I felt was insightful, was Hollywood Reporter. It wasn't a positive review, but it did say that these are actually 2 shows in one. One, you've got the Law and Order aspect of the procedural drama that everybody's used to seeing, and it's like, okay, we know the audience that they're hitting with that. But the other one is this like crazy one about a charismatic serial killer, but that one ends up cannibalizing the plot, is what this says. But because you don't meet the serial killer until the end of the episode, I would assume the first episode wasn't effective.
That's actually not 100% true. The reason why I thought that some of it was so bad that it was actually good was because of the 2003 storyline. Like I said, they have potential to be really creepy here because you have Bella and you have Gabi. Both of them are pretty young girls, and then they're having to dress up in like princess outfits and are going to have dinner with Sir, again, the main villain, and they're going to have to read from a script that Sir has written for them. But
I do realize that we glossed over. Sorry, while you were saying that, when you said that she's got the most acting credits, obviously Mark Paul Gosselaar, the guy who we haven't even Sir, is the most famous out of everybody.
Oh, is he really?
Of course he is. He's the main character from Saved by the Bell.
Oh my God.
He's huge.
I would not have been able to recognize him.
Not only in the original, but also he was back in the reboot. He was in Will Trent. He's been in Mixed-ish as main character. He was in The Passage. So yeah, when we're talking all about Shanola Hampton, yeah, she plays second fiddle, I would say, in just the amount of credits.
It was funny you said Will Trent because Mark Trent, like I said, is the detective, and I was wondering if there was some type of connection that they were trying to make there. But going back to the 2003 storyline, like I said, it's creepy. You have 2 young girls that are in princess dresses. They're having having a script that they're having to read from, they could have gone really, really weird with it, and I probably would have liked it a lot. But instead, the script that they're talking about, it just seems like Sir is a big environmentalist.
Yeah.
He's talking about climate change and all the stuff that they should do to try and save the world. That doesn't come across as creepy. I found Sir to be my favorite character just because of that.
Well, he's not supposed to be redeemable, but I did find it weird how they decided to make this whole show about like how terrible this problem is and missing people, and then when they actually highlight like someone who's had it happen to them, this person isn't a child molester. No, they sit them down and bore them with Shakespeare, which is very strange.
He's also very nice until the very end of that scene where he's like, "Can I have some more stew, please?" and is handing the bowl to Bella. The only time that he even acts out, and it's bad when he does, because she like ends up spilling the stew and even burning herself, and we don't really know what he's about to do to her, but that's when Gabby comes in with a frying pan and hits him in the back of the head. In the way that they were kind of locked in that room, it reminded me of Room, the 2015 movie, but that was way better than, I think, portraying kind of that problem than it was here.
Now, do you realize who Bella is in the past storyline?
No.
You don't get that revelation? Because I thought it was given away in the premiere.
Was it? Wait, maybe? Who?
Maybe, okay. I won't ruin it in case it wasn't, but let's transfer over to a hear me out section that I'd like to... This is a little game, right?
Okay, yeah.
So here's how I just imagine this was pitched, right?
Okay.
What if a kidnapped kid grows up to kidnap her kidnapper and then use him to solve cases, and we got the kooky kid from Saved by the Bell to be the dark passenger? Right? The last time that we did any sort of, or we didn't even do the review for The Patient, but we did see like the first episode.
Was that the Steve Carell show?
Yes, where he's like locked in the basement.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just test you. There's 4 different shows here, and 4 of them are 4 different pitches for shows, and 1 of them is false, but 3 of them are true. Ready?
Okay, yeah.
All right. The first one is Sex in the City for men. Okay.
Sex in the City for men.
There was once a pitch for Sex in the City for men. The next one is The Daily Show for conservatives. The next one
wait, no, that one is true. I know about that.
You know about that?
Yes, I know about that. It was like 2007, right?
Yes,
I think
it's got the lowest reviews on Metacritic of all time.
And I think who is it? It's the guy who used to run the conservative radio show was supposed to play the president or something like that.
Rush Limbaugh?
Rush Limbaugh, yeah.
I do believe that he is in there, and then I think that there's also, unfortunately, one of the people from Whose Line Is It Anyway? Not the main 4, but the person who's now doing the Wayne Brady like side host guy. I think he was also in that show. It was called the Half-Hour News Hour, so obviously it's not that.
At this point, Gutfeld has already taken over for it anyway.
The next, which you so much enjoy. All right, no. Lincoln during the Civil War, but where his black valet is actually calling the shots.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right, and then the last one is the first Airbender, before they decided on making Legend of Korra.
I'm gonna go, you're saying one of these is false, right?
Yes, one of these pitches did not happen.
I know that the last Airbender had the unaired pilot. So what was the first one again?
Okay, so there's Sex in the City for men, the one that you know is true, The Daily Show, that one. The Lincoln during the Civil War, but where his black valet is actually calling the shots, or the first Airbender as opposed to The Legend of Korra.
That third one just seems too crazy. I'll go with Sex in the City for men.
Okay, no, that one was true. It was called The Mind of the Married Men, and it came out I think it came out in like 2001. A few years later, Entourage came out, and that actually like way took over.
That, yeah.
Yes, but like this was supposed to be terrible. Like it was supposed to be Sex in the City, which was supposed to be like this feminist like pushing power thing, and then they decided to like it completely disavowed what they were trying to do.
Now that you're saying it, I thought that I heard about before, and when I was taking my classes back in college, I think that we did have to watch the Sex and the City episode, and I think they bought this show up. Was it the Airbender show that was fake?
The first Airbender is fake. Yes.
The
one that the Lincoln one, that was The Secret Diary of Desmond Pfeiffer. Came out in, I think, the 90s, and it was about like this British guy who ended up going to America, then becoming Abraham Lincoln's valet. Abraham Lincoln and his whole cabinet was like a bunch of alcoholics and partiers and stuff, and he just ended up...
So it doesn't portray Lincoln in a great light.
It doesn't portray anything in a good light. What did you end up giving this pilot?
So I gave Cannes Confidential a 3, and this is better than Cannes Confidential because it's not amateurish like that show was. I was so surprised that was shown on Acorn TV just because of how bad it is. This is competently made, and like I said, there's even a couple jokes here and there that work, and Shanola Hampton, like I said, she's good at acting, but I'm going to give it a 3.5, the half, just because I want to rate this above Cannes Confidential.
Okay, I'll say who it was created by real quick. We got Nkechi Okora Carroll. She was mostly known for being an executive executive producer on All American, the CW show. That's a little bit like Swagger from what I can tell. It's about like a football, a sport that's being taken, and these hopefuls that are trying to become like a big, or make it big.
Do you know when it came out?
It came out just a few years ago, and then they made a sequel to it called All American Homecoming, where she was actually the creator of that show, and they switched it from, I think, football into a tennis player, a girl tennis player, and then someone who's an elite baseball player.
That college class that I was talking about, I had to watch an episode for All American as well.
Of course you did, yeah. But tell me, based off what you watched, does that compare to this?
No, I don't really see it, aside from maybe the race thing. I know that this also reminded me of 911, if you remember how much I didn't like that TV show, but I did feel like that was so bad it's good. I feel like those are comparable.
So would you watch another episode just to laugh at it?
I mean, I could see myself doing that, yeah, but I wouldn't actually watch the series.
All right. AV Club really liked it. It has a 6.7 on IMDb. Only like a 30-some% on Rotten Tomatoes audience score, but like a 60-something on the regular critic score.
I should mention that this is definitely a show that's not made to be analyzed. It's made for you to turn your brain off and just enjoy it. And if you're going to do that, I think that, yeah, you're probably going to enjoy the series. Here, though, actually with my brain on and like catching all these things that just did not seem accurate or didn't seem like likable character traits, I cannot see myself giving it a good score.
What was the worst thing the show did?
The worst thing the show did? Honestly, probably those monologues. Because like I said, the dialogue is so dull and generic anyways, and when these things are supposed to be like really make you emotional, it just is not able to do so.
Well, then the last thing I'll leave you with is Lacey Quinn, the law student who just joined the team, right? Mm-hmm. Played by Gabrielle Walsh. Do you know where she's from? Did you recognize her voice?
No.
She's the wife in Close Enough.
Wow, yeah. I would not have guessed. Like I said, her character is mainly there to exposition dump. In fact, when I was talking about how they were talking about Dom being G.I. Joe, or also Zeke, she refers to him as a blue blood, overly sensitive agoraphobe. That's how we learned that he's an agoraphobe there. That just seemed like all her character was. That's it.
Well, I'm sure they'll give her some other backstory. There have been other things that have been called found in the past. You had a documentary movie, which got very good reviews, a 2012 horror movie, which got very bad reviews. Other than that, though, there's not much else to say about this show. If you're a fan of Law & Order, if you're a fan of all those other, like, Leverage Scandal, Criminal Minds, Blind Spot, Hannibal, Mindhunter even, I guess, because they're dealing with the guy they're trying to figure out other evil people. Again, the showrunners were so insistent on the fact that this guy is not going to have a redemption arc that it kind of gives away what they could do with him. All right, so thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode. Hope you enjoyed this one. Bye.
Bye.